Hi guys, so today I'm going to show you a little bit about how I do some zero waste wrapping. Mainly this is Christmas and birthdays for immediate family, so all the materials come back to me every time. In this particular instance, we probably won't see my brother's family for Christmas, so while these might be their gifts, they will probably get rewrapped with brown craft paper. And I will show you guys how I do that as well, so that it minimizes waste in addition to that. So the basic materials you need to start with, generally good to have some ribbon. I use pillowcases. So like this one might be good for kids that are into Spider-Man, or maybe you can find some bright colors. This is, maybe an adult. This is a really big pillowcase. It's, that's just one side of it. And it's a big square. I've also used sheets before. I'm not going to show you how to use a sheet just because that is like bicycles, and it's really simple. You just literally take the bike or whatever it is you're wrapping and drape a sheet over it and then tie it with a big bow. And then for smaller stuff, I also use handkerchiefs. So I just keep those around as well in a nice container. So I am going to move these out of our way and start showing you guys some different ways to do these wrappings. This does not seem to be side specific. So for something small like this, you've got a couple of options. This might even be a little bit bigger than necessary. Almost like a burrito. That will get the ends covered, and then you can just roll it. And then just take a bit of ribbon. And I'm not showing you guys much on the making bows side. I'm not the best at that. Luckily, my kids are very forgiving on what packages look like. A lot of times we don't even wrap stuff within the household. So that would be one example. And then sometimes you can get like just a pretty bag, or one thought I had this year was to use some Norwex cloths. So this is for my nephew, and he really is into Paw Patrol, I guess, this year. So I also got him this. Don't judge. It's the show. He wants to be like the show. I'm okay with that. So I'm just going to tuck that inside the bag that it already came in. I don't know that he is into Spider-Man or anything, but that happens to be. My kids are teenagers at this point. So you just slip whatever it is inside. And of course now it's not going to do it well. And then you can do it a couple different ways. You can kind of center it in the end and wrap it like we did with the handkerchief. Or you can kind of center it in the middle and wrap to the back. And then much in a similar fashion. That's kind of interesting. You can see the and then if it's bigger like this, a lot of times what you want to do is you'll start with the closed end at the top, wrap to the back, and then bring it around so that it ties at the top. And I normally try and tuck at least one of those in around that bottom. And then you can, so as you can see, you wind up, you can see the main image of whatever you're wrapping with on the top. And then you've got a couple options on passing things out. Mom used to always write on the wrapping. So we don't really have a lot of cards around, but one thing you could do would be to actually get all of the normal people wooden, like wood burnt tags, and then just tie those on when you do this. So this is another way. You don't actually have to put them in the and now this is a king size pillowcase. These things seem to go on forever. Sometimes you don't want all the sort of looseness. So in that case, you're going to wrap it basically like a regular present. So that your end looks like this. And then you just take a safety pin, which I forgot to grab. You'd wind up like that. So I'm just, since I forgot that, I'm just going to do this the same way. Now, maybe say this one we will just do one wrap across and then make our pretty bow. Now, if you use a ribbon that's too long, sometimes you don't want to cut them, because I just reuse ribbons every year. So I try to avoid cutting them. And then you can just make, and then just kind of tuck the ends in. I'll often clean up the ends just a smidge so that they aren't kind of frayed like that. So I'll just cut a little bit off of that one. Now, this is a diffuser for my sister-in-law. Andrew and Becky, sorry if you happen to find this before I get your stuff to you. You're going to know what you got. Now, I'm going to take a different kind of, this is cord. And I do kind of like, sometimes they'll fray out. What I'm going to try and do, and I'm probably going to do this with multiple kinds of cording or ribbon for her. And I'm just going to tie it in a knot. These are big enough that it's a square knot's not really going to be noticeable. And then I'm actually, the plan is I am going to tie her oils into sort of a bouquet. I might have to learn a knot for that. But then, so and then they can just kind of all fan out around. And I started doing this when I was having a lot of issues with my health. I found that simplifying was just really good, and it helped around this time of year too, even more. And as I'm finding out here lately, that's just sort of a MCAS lifestyle situation. Anything you can do to reduce stress is really helpful, because the less stress you have, the less you have reactions. So that's when I picked this up. And in the next few weeks, I've got a seed swap coming next week. You know what? That one's a bit big for... So I've got a seed swap coming to you guys next week. And then I'm going to jump into some of what I was doing before. I started having quite so many food issues because I was still having issues with chemicals. So I'm going to do sort of a how to reduce the chemical exposure in your house thing for a few weeks. On Tuesdays, you'll still get food on Fridays. But this time of year, reducing stress is really the big takeaway for pretty much everything. I would not pick this cord for this, but... And so, like you saw, this was sort of an odd-shaped item. And I've got handles hanging off here, and I hope my brother likes this. He should. It was on his wish list. I hope it works. He's got some projects he's been working on. And then, literally, you just kind of make it as rectangular as possible and wrap the same way you would a rectangular package. So you can either do that sort of a thing, and I'm actually going to do that, but I'm going to start with this one not folded that way, and tuck those corners in, and then go over. And then obviously pick a little bit better coordinating color to tie it with. I was going to say, it's too short, or I would do bows. All right, I'm going to be right back, and then I will show you guys how I wrap with brown paper. Okay, guys, so I have removed some of the other stuff. What I'm going to show you is how I'm going to wrap this box for the seed swap. Now, you cannot ship something through the post office that is wrapped in cords, because it will not go through their machines, and they will make you take it off and tape it. So, the way I am going to do this, you're just kind of dismantling this bag just a bit. I normally cut an edge off the bottom and up one side. It's generally helpful if you can get it so that it is not like super crumpled bag-wise. So you've got, and you still have one corner there, but because we want the plain paper, because they also want you to do plain as much as possible on the outside of boxes, we are going to cut that one. If this was just a plain paper bag, we actually could have used that corner, but and I'm actually not going to need this bottom flap, so I'm just going to cut it off and recycle it. To be truly zero waste, this would need to use I'm actually going to flip this way because these ends will fold better that way. To be truly zero waste, I would need to have paper tape. It is available. It is generally fairly expensive. So I just kind of aim for tape that will be easy to peel off, but will hold securely in transit. I was going to say, and look at this. Now my masking tape is going to be a traitor and mess up on me too. Okay, keeping it real on this channel. Okay, now we've got it all back to one. Okay, or not. So we're going to tape this one here. Now there is a fairly good chance that this will get taped around for some reason. They always, if you, depending on how you send it, they have to have certain things labeled on both sides. So they either take stickers or tape and just run all the way around it at the post office. Beginning to think this Dollar General masking tape is not a good idea. There we go. I am just going to cut that piece off. The big thing is you want to make sure that it is secure. Because you don't want your package to come open, because that's also where your address and stuff is going to be when you mail this. So, and when the kids were little, I know there were several times that we would do this for people, and we would take and use stamps and stuff to make it a little more fun than just brown paper. Perfectly okay. You could also have kids take markers and do it that way. Return address, regular address, and it's ready to go.